he says angioplasty karo. You go to a cardiac surgeon, he says bypass surgery karo. Arey, this angioplasty business is all rubbish. The poor patient really doesn't know what's happening. He's completely confused. And you know what happens is if everything goes well, yeah, doctor Bhagwan hai. Problem ho gaya, wahi doctor shaitan hai. Not a very helpful solution. Whereas if tomorrow all this information was available, so if tomorrow I was a cardiologist and I was saying, these are the patients who benefit from angioplasty, these are the patients who actually don't, then the patient can check, do I fit into these criteria, do I not fit into these criteria? Is this doctor advising me this for his own personal interests, or is he doing it because it's in my best interest? I think we'll be able to level the playing field. And, I hear this criticism all the time. Arey yaar, your library is only for fancy people because all your books are in English. Yeah, but how many people can read? So many Indians are illiterate. And I think that's a very broken way of looking at things. I think everything has to start somewhere. Why not start in a place like Bombay, which has a significant proportion of English-speaking people? And all this stuff is going to have a trickle-down effect. If I can do this stuff in English, what's stopping me from doing it in Hindi? So in fact, we had an event at the library called Google Health Speaks, which would actually get volunteers to say, this is high quality English content. Will you translate it into Hindi? So if we can do it in Hindi, why can't we do it in Marathi or Telugu or Tamil or anything else? But that's not all. We also understand that, it's important to have written stuff, but a picture is worth 1,000 words. So in fact, one of our speakers here is Parag Vora, who's going to be talking on patient educational videos. And patient educational videos don't need any talking at all. These are all animated cartoons. You can dub it in any language you want. A lot of patients say, my doctor doesn't explain things to me. So why doesn't your doctor? Because he said, it's very complicated. I'm a doctor. It took me 8.5 years of medical college and training to understand all this. How do you expect me to explain it all to you in 5 minutes? And I think that's really underestimating the patient's intelligence. And I always tell patients, if you don't understand, it's not your fault, it's the doctor's fault. He's not doing a good job explaining. And the common complaint doctors have is, but I'm so busy, how do I have time? And of course you're busy as a doctor, and that's why we're saying you create your educational resources, and then you put them on the website, or you give them to your patients when they come in the clinic, or let them watch while they're waiting. It's possible to prescribe information therapy for every patient, whether the patient is illiterate, whether the patient is in Indian hospital, whether the patient is in a 5-star hospital. I think all these are just opportunities waiting to be tapped. Let's look at KM Hospital, for example. You have 150 women waiting in an antenatal OPD for exactly 2 minutes when the doctor will, you're doing fine, check the blood pressure, check the urine, everything's okay, come back in 15 days. During that 2.5 hour waiting period in the antenatal OPD, you have a wall, you have a big screen projector. Couldn't you just play a video telling women about breastfeeding, nutrition, diet? These are all hundreds of opportunities which we are all frittering away in front of our eyes. And I think that's extremely irresponsible. I keep on reminding people the word doctor is derived from the word dossier, which means to teach. And I think if we don't teach our patients, we're doing ourselves and our patients a disservice. This is sometimes what a lot of patients think doctors are good at doing. That's all they seem to be specializing in. And sometimes this is the criticism which doctors have. All these patients come with 100-page printouts from the internet. They all think they're experts, and they all have these stupid questions from these stupid websites. And again, yes, it's a reality, but that's an opportunity. The opportunity is how do you guide your patient to this is reliable website or this is reliable information. And then rather than complain, isn't it your job to actually then put up your own website so your patient doesn't need to get lost and go to hundreds of irrelevant websites getting information which is not accurate? Why does the patient go somewhere else? Because you have abdicated your responsibility and not bothered. Whereas if you put up your website, your patient won't go anywhere. This is sometimes what happens. And, I talk of myself, I pride myself on my counseling skills and the amount of time. Every day I have patients who honestly do get confused at the end of a consultation. So what we try to do is before the consultation, please go to the website. That will answer at least 60% of your questions. After the consultation, go back to the website. Ask me questions by email. There's only one patient I'm scared of. And that is the patient who has unrealistic expectations from me. Because if a patient has unrealistic expectations, that's a formula for unhappiness. Then no matter how good a doctor I am, no matter how competent I am, that patient is not going to be happy. And, the only way to be a happy doctor is to have happy patients. And if you have unhappy patients, trust me, that creates a lot of stress. And then one unhappy patient ends up spoiling your entire reputation. I'm not sure if you can read this, but that little, can anyone read it?
Yeah.
So this is this doctor who says, what do you mean I act like God? I am God. And I honestly think sometimes, doctors have this, my mom wasn't well, so she was admitted in Breach Candy. And sometimes I think hospital doctors have this little aura around them because they travel around with 3 residents and 2 assistants and 5 nurses, and they, walk in, hi, are you fine? And then they walk out, and you still have all these questions, none of which remain answered. So why shouldn't hospitals have patient education libraries? You have all these patients who have all these questions. You have doctors who don't have time to answer these questions. Fair enough, that's not going to change. Doctors are busy people. But they could at least refer the patient or the patient relative to the patient education library, where you have a librarian, where you have a nurse, where you have a junior doctor who could explain to the patient what is happening and why it's happening. This is my dream. I think we need to form doctor-patient partnerships. And I think you can only have a partnership if each person respects the other and we treat each other as equals. I always think the very fact the patient comes to me, the patient is doing me a favor. It's not like I'm doing the patient a favor by giving them the patient a baby. The patient has a choice of going to so many other doctors, yet the patient has chosen to come to me. So that's the privilege. I honor that privilege. And like I keep on saying, doctors have a good financial income. I'm not complaining. But the emotional income which a doctor has is unbeatable. Because, where else do you get a place where patients thank you every day, even after 10 years, hey, my, daughter just celebrated her 10th birthday. Thank you so much, doctor. I think, there's that emotional income. And I think if doctors learn to appreciate that, it'll make for happy doctors and for happy patients.